bonjour, boom chia, that I learned today, ni hao, that one I learned yesterday, hamjamboni, ekaro, people from West Africa, and a very, very, very warm welcome to the heart of East Africa here at the Land of 1,000 Hills in Kigali, Rwanda. My name is Mary Maina. I'm a youth advocate, and a practitioner in the youth employment space, working with USAID project that works on youth employment here in Kigali, Rwanda. But today, I'm very privileged to be the master of ceremony for this 2-day transformative conference that was going to happen, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot from different delegates that are coming from all over the globe, east, west, north, and south, that are gathered here today under a very beautiful theme. As you can see, young, of course, green, and digital. So I try to uphold the theme. I try to uphold the theme as much as we can. But as we may know, Decent Jobs for Youth is an initiative that was launched recently, an initiative, a coalition to bring together governments, to bring together different market and relevant market actors in the space of youth employment to address one of the most pressing issues in our time globally, which is the youth employment. For me, per se, when I was contacted to attend this forum, I couldn't help but have, I would say, a leap of hope as a young person, a leap of hope, because when I reflect back on the first time, the time I was getting my very first job, it wasn't very long ago, in 2014, when I was in my first year of university. It was a very hard journey in a way that I had to spend 2 years without pay for me to actually get a particular contract. And I remember the situation was, it was even very difficult even to get an internship. I studied from 3 hours away from Kigali in University of Rwanda. And one of these employers, I approached them, I was still in my very first year, and I approached them. I like what you're doing. I would like to be involved. I don't know how I would like to be involved. I was slapped with a no because, of course, I didn't have the right skills. I didn't have the right skills for the internship. So I didn't know how that worked at that time. Then, lucky enough, when I joined IASEC, it's a youth global movement that supports youth into like addressing SDGs through different projects. We reconnected with this employer, but this time as a youth partner through IASEC. And after the partner saying, oh, I think Mary has something to bring on the table. She has potential. Then that's when they approached me and was like, we would like you to be our ambassador. Then I was like, ambassador? You know, from what we know, ambassador is a big word, right? It's a big word. An ambassador is a head of state in a different country. So I wanted to understand, but this particular ambassador didn't have a contract, didn't have a job description. There was no TOR for me. It was just more like to support the process. And after that, it was more like a year long of being that ambassador was I able to even get myself a contract. Now, why I'm bringing up this, it's more of the reflection I had on my journey, yes, as a young female, but also reflecting on the privileges I had at the time, educated and being brought up from urban areas and having education. I know there are millions and millions young people who are young, female, with less education out here, and are the same in the same labor market, trying to get to the position I was. I can't imagine how hard it is for them, because it's definitely harder than my time. Therefore, when I meant transformative, when I was told about this initiative, I was like, I had hope. I was like, things are going to change, because this is a challenge that requires it requires a holistic approach, an approach that initiates platforms like this that brings market actors from different sectors in one space to discuss some of these challenging issues when it comes to youth employment. So again, as youth champions in the house and as actors in this space, I would like you to applaud yourself for the job well done, for making it here for this two-day conference. Anyway, enough of the stories, and I can see a bit of, to break a little bit of some ice, I would like to request us to be upstanding, just for a minute, to be upstanding. We'll have a lot of time to sit. I promise you we'll have a lot of time to sit. All right, so we are going to break the ice a little bit, and with a simple, very simple exercise. There are people from all over the world, and the purpose of this platform is for us even to get to know each other, to network a lot. So we're going to take only 1 minute. I would like you to reach out. You can look around the room, reach out to a person you don't know. You don't know, because I am quite sure that there's a person you don't know in the room. Introduce yourself, say hello, say what you do with regards to youth employment, and then you share how do you say hello in your local language. Yes, we are a global citizen. So your 1 minute starts now. Go. Reach to as many delegates as possible. Reach to as many as possible. "45 seconds. Would like a volunteer maybe from each row to tell us a little bit about what any volunteer would like to share, especially how you say hello in another language. Anybody who's willing to share? Any volunteer? Okay. Could we have a microphone over there? We are global citizens, and one of the things that we should be proud of is our cultures. How do you say hello, and your name, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maureen Rosita Ojong Ebobisong. I work with the International Olympic Committee, and my new friend is Delphine. She works with Plan International. In her local language, good morning is Mwaramutse.
Mwaramutse. A big round of applause. That's Mwaramutse in Kinyarwanda. Another volunteer from this row, preferably male. Oh, yes.
Hello, good morning. My name is Simon Marotolong, and my friend is Janet. Janet works with Zesha Impact in Uganda. And in her language, you say Osibite. Osibite.
Osibite. In what language is that?
I'm not very sure.
in Nugungu.
Yes.
Osibite in Nugungu. That's how you say hello. Thank you very much, and another round of applause for the gentleman over there. All right, I hope now we've come back into one mood. We a little bit know about each other. We'll dive straight into our agenda items of today. As you've I'm assuming you've received the agenda. We have an eventful agenda with marvelous and I would say informed speakers from all over the place. And we're going to have a lot more of plenary sessions. We'll also have coffee breaks. I know there's some people like me who love the coffees. And we'll also have parallel sessions that we are going to kind of request that you go through the agenda, identify the parallel session that you would like to join, so that you know where the rooms are, but we will keep you updated on that. So our very first item agenda of today, we are going to have welcoming remarks. And to take us through this item, I would like to welcome the Director General of ILO Country Office of the United Republic of Tanzania, Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, and the East African community. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Ms. Caroline Mugala for the opening remarks.
Morning, everyone. Are youths in this room? You're so cold. That's unlike youthfulness. I'm not the Director General, but thank you for those blessings. I received them. I received them. So they say, you know, the Spirit maybe was speaking in you. I'm the director, the country director, not the Director General. My boss is here. I don't want to be in problems. Thank you very, very much, Honorable Minister, for joining us. Mrs. Jeanette, Minister for Public Service and Labor of the Republic of Rwanda. Ms. Mia Sepo, Assistant Director General for Jobs and Social Protection of the International Labour Organization. My brother, Oga Ozonia, UN Resident Coordinator for Rwanda, honorable representatives from governments, employers, workers' organizations, dear youth representatives in the house, Asanteni. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In Rwanda, they say muraho, which means hi. In my mother tongue, muraho is, are you there? Are you there? So if you can't remember anything for the 2 days as a youth, just remember, are you there? Are you there in the conversations? Are you there in policy making? Are you there in making change? Are you there? I think for the young people, if you don't remember anything, just remember that tall lady in a colorful, beautiful dress. She asked me, am I there? So every day you wake up as a young person, ask yourself, muraho. It is a pleasure to welcome you all to this event titled Young, Green, and Digital, organized by the Decent Jobs for Youth Initiative, an initiative that aims to break silos, address fragmentations, and secure effective and innovation action in respect to youth employment. This year's conference, this is the 3rd conference, if I'm not wrong. The other ones have been outside the continent, one in Geneva, another one in Rome. So this is the first time the conversation are on the motherland soil. So we are really excited to have these conversations here that focuses on the title, Boosting Youth Employment in Green and Digital Economies with the Young People. And announcing the conference, we received an overwhelming response and other interested people from around the world who wanted to be here. Today, we are delighted to welcome to Kigali, Honorable Minister, over 200 participants from more than 30 countries across all the continent, except Antarctica. Unless I missed you in the registration, please identify yourself, I'm afraid. We would have wanted someone from Antarctica to also come into the conversation, working across a wide range of sectors, linking and leveraging resources of youth employment and sustainable development. We know that investing today in employment of young people means investing not only in the future, but also in the present societies. We might also understate the severity of the problem. Too many young people today are unemployed, underemployed, employed in suboptimal conditions of unsafe, involuntary, insecure, or informal natures. Some of them are ambassadors. We are here today to understand these problems and make plans for the future. And over the next 2 days, we will hear stories and evidence on how we can foster decent work for youth, particularly in niche sectors that are showing promise in this job creation. So this conference is going to be different. We are not going to have those long presentation, people sitting here talking for 5 hours, and then we look at the time, we say, oh, we only have 5 minutes for question, and I will take only one question. No. The people that will be sitting up here will be setting the stage for the conversation, because we want to listen to what the young people want to say. My previous job, I was a trade unionist, and they say, nothing for us? Asanteni. I hope we can learn from each other, share freely, capitalize both failures and successes so we can design and implement stronger policies, programs with skills and tangible impact. Our team in Kigali, thank you very much, worked closely with our ILO colleagues in Geneva and across Africa to make this conference as useful and dynamic as possible. Please make sure that the synergies and investment that evolve from this event help us advance the objective, the global initiative on decent jobs for youth, which is a scale-up action on impact on youth employment in support of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. That's why the RC is in the room. You might be wondering why he's here. This involves him too. Without talking too much, as I said, I'm a trade unionist. We are paid to talk, so I will stop here. The Director General would have loved to be here, but unfortunately, he's not here. But as we said, one of the themes is digital. So the director is joining us digitally. So where are my IT people? You know, sometimes IT can really embarrass you, because we've been practicing this since yesterday and the machines have been working. So could you kindly just play the DG's message to the
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and our dynamic young leaders, welcome to the Global Conference of Decent Jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and our dynamic young leaders, welcome to the Global Conference of Decent Jobs for Youth. I'm so sorry I cannot be there with you in person, but I'm very honored to be speaking to you. Let me first take this opportunity to thank the government of Rwanda for hosting our conference. My gratitude also goes to the government of the Netherlands, Canada, Luxembourg, and to IFAD for all your support to the Global Initiative on Decent Jobs for Youth. I also want to express my heartfelt appreciation to each one of you for being here with us today. Your presence is a testament to your dedication to ensuring that every young person has access to decent work, and I commend you for your effort and for your commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, the journey young people face today is a difficult one, from COVID-19 pandemic to ongoing economic crisis, conflict, a climate emergency, and fast-moving technology. The challenges that the youth face are relentless and they affect every aspect of their lives, including their world of work. The figures say it all. Today's global youth unemployment is almost 3.5 times higher than that of adults. 269 million young people are neither in employment nor in education or training, with young women twice as likely as young men to be in such a situation. Let us also not forget that a large share of young people start their working lives in the informal economy with limited rights and minimal, if any, social protection. But this must not discourage us. Every challenge is also hidden opportunity that we must seize. Let us look for those opportunities in the promise of new jobs in the green and the digital economies, the ongoing energy transition, and the rapid growth of the digital economy promise to unlock 14.8 million additional jobs for young people by 2030. We must ensure that these new jobs are also fair jobs where young workers are heard, are respected, and are protected. And we can do so if we have the right policies and commitments in place. Dear friends and partners, now is the pivotal moment for us to explore how we can work together to shape these transitions for the benefit of the youth worldwide. We must scale up our actions, and we can do so under the auspices of the ILO-led Global Initiative on Decent Jobs for Youth. And this conference is the place for us to do so. I am eager to see the creative solutions that will emerge from our discussions. Your expertise and willingness to take evidence-informed decisions are our greatest asset in this journey. We have already achieved so much together, from the Green Jobs for Youth Pact to boosting decent jobs for youth in Africa's digital economy. Let us build on our successes and lead by example by engaging with young people as equal partners and by ensuring that the decisions and the policies that we make leave no one behind. I would like to conclude by reaffirming the ILO's unwavering commitment to working with governments, employers and workers' organizations, and with all partners to promote decent work and social justice for all. As a testament to this commitment, we recently launched the Global Coalition for Social Justice to amplify the important work of global partnership like the Global Initiative. Only by working together can we make this workplace where every young person has the chance to dream, thrive, and to work. I wish you a very productive conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much to the DG for his message. And I think his last message was about the Global Coalition of Social Justice. And as I said, Moreho, there is a Global Coalition of Social Justice. Are you there? Please join. Let me welcome my three speakers for the opening session. And as they come here, my moderator is, you can come to the stage as I tell stories. I'm a storyteller. She missed to share one very vital thing. We need to make this conference go what? Where are the youth? We need to make this conference go what? Yeah, please tweet, tag ILO, share, a picture, share a statement from the conference. Let this be a conference of a difference. So, without wasting time, I would like to invite on the stage our Assistant Director General for Jobs and Social Protection, Ms. Mia Sepo, to give her official remarks on behalf of the ILO.
Thank you very much, Caroline, and thanks to the moderator. Do we stick to this one or this one? Probably not both, right? Honorable Minister of Public Services and Labor of Rwanda, the UN Resident Coordinator in Rwanda, Ozonia. Very pleased to see you again after quite some years. My dear colleague Caroline, thank you for opening and setting the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, representatives from so many different countries, as they say on the continent, all protocols observed. It is a great honor to be here. I have just thrown somebody else's talking points on the ground. It is a great honor to be with you here today in the true spirit of the Global Initiative on Decent Jobs for Youth and having so many partners in the room. We are meeting in Rwanda, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing from the Honorable Minister, from the Resident Coordinator, and from many participants in the room about the experience of Rwanda, what Rwanda can share with other countries and what Rwanda can learn from other countries. And I want to join the DG in thanking the Netherlands, Canada, Luxembourg, and IFAD for the support in organizing this conference. And let me also say, as Caroline was saying, it is great to actually have this conference on this continent for the first time. Africa is the continent of youth. So what better place to actually meet to talk about how do we do youth employment and youth engagement at scale. And because we are on the continent, let me share with you a quote. Never underestimate the power of a young mind. Their ideas are fresh, their their vision is clear, and their potential to innovate is boundless. It is through the creativity and courage of the youth that the world evolves and progresses. Who said that? Who said that? I need some guesses, at least, as a minimum. I read it, I quoted. I didn't say it, Caroline. Good one. Who said it? A great man of the continent. Kofi Annan. Voila, exactly. That was a quote by Kofi Annan. So the Decent Jobs for Youth set its ambition at 2016. It's a very ambitious agenda. So where are we today? Let me share with you a few snapshots of the youth labor market. There has been improvements since the pandemic. For instance, the global youth unemployment rate has decreased to pre-COVID levels, now standing at 13.3%, which translates to 67 million unemployed youth worldwide. Despite this decrease, significant inequalities persist, disproportionately affecting young people. And I'm actually going to quiz you and see whether you listened to our DG, who was pointing to a figure in terms of how much more likely is a young person to be unemployed compared to an adult. What was the figure? 3.5 times. Yes! Woo! And actually, I'm going to test you on some of the other figures that the DG quoted as well. 3.5 times. That is actually something that we should keep in mind. Now, those figures on unemployment is only part of the story. There's two things that ILO is very worried about in addition to just unemployment as a figure. One is the increasing rate of inactivity among young people, and the second one is the lack the informality and the persistent lack of quality jobs. So for this, there's two figures that we really want you to leave with and examine in the conversations the 2 days ahead. So one is the figure of NEET, so young people who are not in education, employment or training. And there's a figure, I think the DG quoted that one as well. What is the number of NEET?
269 million?
Excellent. And if all the people who answer are ILO staff, Sang-Yeon is taking careful notes for your performance assessments. 269 million NEET. And then you have figures around 3 out of 4 young people in employment are actually in informal jobs. And informal jobs, obviously, it's not totally black and white, but informal jobs tend to be where you have deficits in terms of access to social protection, other decent work aspects. Now, I also wanted to bring in a really important issue that the Decent Jobs for Youth platform paid attention to during the COVID, which is there was a survey done pointing to levels of anxiety and depression among young people. And there was a clear conclusion that young people whose education or work was either disrupted or had stopped altogether were almost twice as likely to be affected by anxiety or depression as those who continued to be employed. Now, that was a finding during the pandemic. That is a finding that is no different today. And I think ILO also has some interesting research just pointing to the importance of jobs in terms of mental well-being, having that community of people that you work with, having a routine. So jobs are also important for our well-being. So all of these figures, ladies and gentlemen, is just to point to the fact that our work is more important than ever as our economies undergo crucial transformations driven by technology and climate change, as the DG also pointed out. And here is where we have a real job creation potential in terms of digital and green. Let me share with you 2 figures. The DG was mentioning 14 million or thereabout, which is actually 2 figures. The first figure is SDG 9C, universal and affordable access to ICT, which could create 6.4 million jobs for youth by 2030. The second figure is investing in green policies aimed at net zero carbon emissions by 2050 could create an additional 8.4 million jobs for youth by 2030. So there is a promise, there is hope, as our moderator was saying in the beginning, and hope is something that I hope you will all feel at the end of the conference, not despair, but hope and energy to drive and take action. So the theme of the conference, Young, Green and Digital, is really painting that horizon of a world which is digitally connected, environmentally sustainable, and with a thriving youth labor force. And as Caroline has been saying, we will do this by working together with and for young people to turn that vision into a reality. So today and tomorrow will be about knowledge, about evidence, about meeting old friends, making new connections, talking to the new faces in the room, and really creating those opportunities. I hope you will learn from the Green Jobs for Youth Pact, the Youth Foresight Knowledge Platform, and our joint research initiatives and programs. I want to thank all the partners because the agenda has truly been co-created. And you will see a lot of sharing throughout on a whole range of topics. We will also revisit from our previous global conferences on youth rights and voices, which was focused on gender equality, youth rights at work, and strategies to foster decent jobs for rural youth, young persons with disabilities, and young refugees. We will launch new commitments by new and existing partners, which will open doors for greater synergies and collaboration. And I think it's also important to note that the initiative is entering a crucial phase, and we hope to be focusing on these sectors of growth, and we really count on your support. Now, there's still kind of half a page of comments that the team was suggesting that I would make, But since we were saying that the problem often is that you have long statements, and then you say there's no time for questions and answers and actually listening to each other, I will actually finish here by thanking each and every one of you for being here with us for this conference. I'm very much looking forward to learning from you and from looking at what are the commitments that you leave this conference with at the end of the day tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, another round of applause. It's good to see that people are awake. Even when we were getting tested of figures, there's some figure people in the room. Thank you very much for those words. The next remarks, would like to welcome the UN resident coordinator in Rwanda, Mr. Ozonier, for your remarks. On Ozonier for your remarks.
Thank you very much, Mary and Caroline, for setting the stage. Honorable Minister Paishenje, Minister for Public Service and Labor, my dear old friend and our Assistant Director General for Jobs and Social Protection, Mayor, all the representatives from government, all the young people from across the world. It's on. I see a few members of our development partner community here. So, and then some of my UN colleagues in Rwanda as well. So I'm very happy that you're all here. And I'd like to say to all of you, Muramutse. Those who met Rwandans this morning, you can't forget Muramutse so soon. Eh? It means good morning. So first of all, delighted to speak to you on behalf of the One UN Rwanda family and to extend our deep appreciation to the Honorable Minister and the government for hosting this conference, which we hear is the first time it's coming to the continent. And Rwanda leads on many things. This has become the global conference capital. Many events happen on every week. So we're delighted that you are here. And for those of you who are coming here for the first time, please do remember that this is a workshop. Every workshop has two parts: the work and the shop. Don't leave Rwanda without the shop. You got to make sure you come back. Honorable Minister, this platform gives us an opportunity for a conversation on a subject that affects the young people who are the gatekeepers of our initiatives. We allude to the youth as being the leaders of tomorrow. Now, with the current trends and what the DG was citing, we need bold action, bold steps. Not only do we need to think differently, we need to think without the box, and we need to think together with the youth. So we have to ensure that in this conversation that's taking place over these 2 days, your voices predominate, your ideas predominate. As they say, that the jobs of the future do not even exist for today, but you're in the frontier of the thinking for what those jobs of the future look like. So I think it's wonderful that the preponderance of participants at this global conference are young people from all continents. So you show to us the critical and active contribution that your generation can make towards our social and economic transformation. You challenge us by making us reflect, but you also inspire us to work faster and more efficiently. We need a sense of urgency across board, governments everywhere, private sector, communities, acknowledging the power of intergenerational collaboration. So we want your voices heard, but also it's important you expect that your voices will be acted upon to shape inclusive and sustainable approaches and societies. So as we begin this conference, it is with the recognition that your voices are essential if we're to be successful in achieving the ambitious goals. And from whatever continent you come from, in each of your continents, there's an institution called the UN Economic and Social Organization. So in Asia Pacific is in Bangkok. In Africa is in Addis, the Economic Commission for Africa. We do have them across the continent. Go to their website, check the results, the projection for what it will take to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. no country is on course to achieve the 17 SDGs. Some are meeting some targets, but many targets are regressing. So it does challenge us to think differently, find new ways to accelerate the implementation of what we want to do. So it does challenge for a different degree of collaboration and partnerships because the issues are complex. They are local, but they're also global. The UN Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, when he published the Common Agenda report about what we need to do new and different for the transformation to occur, he placed emphasis on acceleration. We have to accelerate impact and change. So in Rwanda, we use 3 words: coherence, integration, and scale. Coherence means none of us alone can do it. We need to work across board in different areas in the UN system, ILO providing the strategic and normative leadership, the whole system coming together. In government, a whole of government approach. Within countries, government, private sector, communities and groups, young people, different institutions. Scale is not about pilots. We've been piloting for too long, pilot after pilot. The pilots now need to be scaled. So it has to be a different conversation. So I want to suggest those 3 words to all of us today for this conference. Where is the coherence? Where is the integration? And where is the scale? For me, that should be the filter on the basis of which we measure any outcomes we come with. Because that's what then gives us the impact, the change, and the response to the message by the DG as he challenged us today. I don't want to go back to the statistics. My dear colleague has mentioned all the statistics. In Uganda, the same, very youthful population. Majority are young. But you know, for the government of Uganda, it identified 3 key vehicles, 3 key buckets of challenges that Uganda wants to address: job creation, human capital development, and resilience. Job creation, because every young person here has aspirations. You go on Netflix, you go on YouTube, you've seen other young people, you're on TikTok, you've seen the life they lead. Why would you not aspire to be like them? So the traditional approaches to job creation don't work anymore. It's new approaches, new entry points. So one of those entry points is the creative and entertainment industry. It has the lowest threshold of entry, your talent. It's not about your degree certification, but also your spirit of entrepreneurship. So these are the new frontiers of engagement that government of Rwanda is leading, and we are following closely as a United Nations system. Human capital development is no longer about, yes, access to education is important. Yes, number of people in education is important. But what skills are we teaching them that are relevant for the jobs of tomorrow when those jobs are unknown? So it's a totally different conversation that we should be having. But that's where the government of Rwanda is headed. But resilience, when shocks hit, people need to have some foundation. They don't fall through the cracks and go back to the station of poverty. So the entire development partner community in Rwanda is challenged to be aligned to the government of Rwanda with this new thinking. And the new strategy for government will be published before half year back, by June, July. But we are already in tune as a United Nations system with government in these new frontiers. Now, what does it mean for development organizations like the United Nations system? It means a total rethink of how. Because the what might not change, it might be addressing poverty, but the how needs to change radically. It's no longer about their projects. It's about a different degree of partnership with private sector institutions, with private sector that uses UN financing as proof of concept, but scale, implementation, acceleration by private sector, by testing new ideas that are unproven, but showing that they can work. By our leadership being comfortable that when you give money, and I'm speaking to my Assistant Director General, when you give money to Caroline for projects, and she hasn't spent that money because she's using it as a de-risk fund, you don't take it away at the end of the year, because our currency of measurement is the money you don't spend gets taken back, or next year it is reduced because you didn't spend what you have. Now you're not supposed to spend the money. You're supposed to use part of it, build capacity, enterprise management, project management, bookkeeping, accounting. So you support those groups, those vulnerable groups, to understand how businesses and enterprises are managed. Then you use the balance of the money as a de-risk fund that allows a credit institution to mitigate their risks and give them credit. But instead of targeting 500 or 1,000, you're targeting 10,000. That's the degree of scale that's required. So don't assume that the UN is ready for it. We are not. We are reinventing ourselves at the same time as we are helping and challenging you. So do challenge us as well. Okay? Caroline said to you, are you present? Show to her that you are present by challenging us as UN system in terms of our approaches, our understandings, our methodologies, and say to us, buckle up, speed up, accelerate, and let's work for scale. That for me will be a measure by how I look at these 2 days and what I take away from here, together with Caroline, my colleagues from the country team that are here. I see UNICEF, I see UNHCR, I see a few others. Next week, we'll have a UN country team retreat. I want to take your key messages, and I want to go back to my colleagues in the UN system and say, the youth of the world, reflected through the youth of Rwanda, this is their ask of the UN system. Let's challenge each other. Thank you very much.
Digital side of the okay, the digital side is back. All right, those are powerful words. And one thing that I know about Mr. Ozanie, he's a big champion of gender and youth. I remember in different platforms, he continues to remind us. He has always continued to remind us that investing in young people and investing in women, it's a smart investment and it's a win-win situation for everybody. So thank you very much for those powerful remarks. And if we could just go with the trends and testing, the 3 key words that he left to us. The first one was coherence. Anybody with a second one anywhere? The third one? Scale. Thank you very much. Everybody's in class. All right, thank you very much. The next keynote, we would like to welcome the Minister of Public Service and Labor, Rwanda, Her Excellence, Ms. Jeannette Bayisenge. Welcome, Madam, for your remarks.
Mr. Gilbert Hogbo, Director General of the International Labour Organization, who joined us virtually. Mr. Ozonia Ojiero, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Rwanda. Ms. Mia Sepo, Assistant Director General for Job and Social Protection in ILO. Mr. Seng-Hyo Lee, the ILO Director of the Employment Department. Mr. Kofi Ogusu, the ILO Deputy Regional Director for Africa. Ms. Caroline Mugara, Director of the ILO Country Office of the United Republic of Tanzania, Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, and East African Community. Distinguished representatives from governments, trade unions, regional and multilateral organizations, social partners, youth and civil society organizations, private sector, foundations and academia, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone. I take this opportunity to wish you a warm welcome to Rwanda. For those who have been here before, it's a welcome back. And for those who are here for the first time, I hope you enjoyed so far your stay, and I hope you've had safe travels. We are thrilled to have you here, and you would be much happier if you can stay longer after the conference. Allow me to extend my sincere appreciation to the International Labour Organization and its partners for tireless efforts toward creating decent jobs, and for choosing Rwanda as the host country for this international conference for the first time at the African continent. We will be glad to host more and more in the near future. I'm honored to address you today at this crucial global conference on decent jobs for youth as the Minister of Labor, and I'm deeply committed to advancing the cause of youth employment and ensuring that our continent's young people have access to dignified work opportunities. To tackle youth unemployment, we need a multifaceted approach invest in education and skills development, promote entrepreneurship, and support small and medium enterprises. Additionally, we must address obstacles to youth unemployment, such as limited access to finances and insufficient social protection. We need to guarantee that young people have equal job opportunities and are safeguarded from exploitation and abuse. At the same time, we must harness the potential of technology and innovation to create new jobs for young people, which makes the relevance of the choice of the theme today. The digital economy holds immense promise for our generation globally and Africa in particular, and we must ensure that our youth are equipped with the skills they need to strive in this rapidly evolving landscape. In terms of digitalization and technology, the world of work is undergoing major transformation, driven by trends like remote and hybrid work, digitalization, skills-based hiring, artificial intelligence, and industry restructuring. This calls for collaborative efforts to address the prevailing youth challenges by aligning training and education with the labor market needs and dynamics. An event like this comes at the right time to foster innovative thinking and share strategies to promote employability skills and creation of decent and productive jobs for youth comes at the right time. Assistant DG Mia asked the UN resident coordinator and myself to share the experience of Rwanda. And there are more people here in the room, my Rwandan fellow, who will also help us in sharing Rwanda's experience. I think the resident coordinator did a very good job in talking about Rwanda, in talking about the resilience, in talking about the strong partnership that Rwanda has installed with the UN system and other key partners, the partnership that helps us to achieve the progress that we see today. Because we know that as Rwanda alone, we can't do what you have seen. He said, I know you will have a very insightful, productive discussion here in the parallel sessions, in informal networkings, but he reminded us that there is also life outside the hotel here. It's work and shop. There is a lot to share outside. The hotel is situated within the city center, so in the evening, go around and relax. So let me try to share a bit of the Rwanda's experience when it comes to youth employment and job creation. And of course, my team here, my Rwandan fellow who are here in the room will compliment me throughout the discussion today and tomorrow. The government of Rwanda has consistently prioritized creating decent and productive employment opportunities as the foundation of its economic and social policies. Central to these efforts are the youth, who make up the substantial portion of the population, because 65% of Rwandans are below 30 years. We acknowledge that access to decent jobs for our youth is not merely a policy goal, but a moral obligation that will shape the future of our country. Rwanda's strategic frameworks, notably Vision 2050, the UN resident coordinator talked about the national strategy for transformation that we are, the first version, first generation of it that we are ending this year in 2024. So when I talk about this Vision 2050, it aims at promoting the creation of decent jobs and productive jobs with a target to reduce the unemployment rate to approximately 7% by 2035 and 5% by 2050. To achieve these targets, the government of Rwanda remains committed to consistently fostering conditions that support the creation of decent employment for youth, skills development, and promotion of green economy. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, in its forward-looking approach since 2015, the government and its partners have been implementing a workplace learning policy aimed at addressing the skills gap in the Rwandan workforce, particularly among youth and new labor market entrants. It emphasizes modern apprenticeships, more internships. The moderator shared her experience, how she struggled to get internship. So it's our priorities to make sure that the young people get internship. Internships, where was I? Okay, internship and attachments, and aligning skills development with labor market needs to ease school to work transition. Ladies and gentlemen, let us reaffirm our commitment to creating decent jobs for youth in Africa by concluding this conference with concrete actions. So I think it's the purpose of the conference. And by setting the tone, Ms. Caroline also talked about it. So we hope to see very concrete action coming out from this conference. Together we can build a brighter and more prosperous future for all Africans. Therefore, it is essential for this event to strategically evaluate and collaborate in assessing all the factors that can contribute to sustainable, decent jobs for youth. With these remarks, I'm delighted to wish you a productive exchange of ideas and a pleasant stay here in Kigali. And we hope that Rwanda will be your home away from home. I thank you.
Another round of applause. I think it deserves a lot more. And I would like to request Ms. Caroline if you could come back to the stage so that we can take a group photo, a momentous group photo here on the stage. Our camera folks, yes, please. We're going to take a group photo together with Ms. Caroline. Thank you very much for those powerful remarks. What a way to begin our conference. And as we've heard, there's been key buzzwords from all the welcoming remarks that we've heard today. A lot to do with action, action, and action has been repeated a long time. Thank you very much. Please, you can head over back to your seats. Another round of applause as they take their seats. Thank you for that, for the powerful way of scene setting. And I'm challenged, I for one am challenged to make sure that Caroline started with saying, Muraho, I kept on reflecting of, am I here? But it's not about just being present. Am I meaningful in here? What am I here to do? So thank you very much for that challenge, and I will ensure that even the minister stated again, actions, actions, and actions are expected out of this conference. What a way of kickstarting our two-day conference. Now we're going to go straight to the next item, agenda item of today. We're going to hear a little bit of story time. Caroline started the entire conversation with the storytelling. We are also going to hear an inspiring story from a young change maker about coding a green future. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mr. Gibson Kawago as he walks to the stage to tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you so much. And as I was sitting there, I knew and I know and I will know that everyone has been reading young, green, and digital. So every time we look in front, we see young. But there are so many questions going on in our minds. Do we agree that young people are the future? True or false? True. There's false? But let's add, this future is 3.5 times likely to be affected by unemployment. True or false? After being affected by unemployment, it is twice likely those who are unemployed to be affected by depression and anxiety. So where is the future? We see there's a problem here. We always look at great people and thinking, how did they get there? Let's look at Maria Curie. She did great jobs in physics and chemistry and doing innovations. But was she born with those skills that got her there? Was she born with those skills? No. It was through her hard work, persistence, and learning that got her there. But do we watch movies on Netflix? How many people watch movies on Netflix? Do we know who is the chief technical officer of Netflix? Who can guess? But we watch Netflix. But now you can find out that the chief technical officer of Netflix is Elizabeth Stone. Do you think she got there just by luck? It was by her getting enough skills, persistence, and consistency in learning to get there. We know Eliud Kipchoge is a good runner. But do we think he was born running? He acquired those skills. We know Elon Musk. We have the Starlink. We have the Tesla. We have the Boring Company. Do we think Elon Musk was born with all those skills? But also we have one boy from Africa who was born in a village where there was no electricity. So he used to travel long distances to reach the charging stations. Then at home, when they were eating, they could keep kerosene lamps on the table to light up the space, then they were eating. But at the same time, they were also smoking because kerosene lamps were releasing smokes, which was getting into their lungs. But as time went, he started observing the walls were becoming black. There was soot. Then he got another question. What is happening inside the lungs? Do we have the same soot as what we see on the walls? Because the same kerosene lamps that emit these are smokes. Then one day he saw his grandmother throwing the batteries from the old cassette radio, which were empty. Then he started picking the batteries, putting them together, tying them up, and connecting the wires and putting a bulb. And one time, boom, he got light from the old batteries. Then he said, wow. The next night, he took off the kerosene lamps, then he put the bulb. So there was no more smoke. It was a cleaner solution. When the village knew that, they started requesting to get more like that. He could not do that alone. So he collected his fellows, and at least he offered them with decent jobs to make those batteries and to install in people's houses. But what was the challenge? He realized that he needed to mass produce what he was doing. What did he find out? He found out that he needed skill sets to make him being able to do that. So he went to school, secondary school, he studied physics, chemistry, and he was always in the physics lab trying to do the circuits, to be able to make a power bank, to charge mobile phones, and to be able to make a good bulb that can light up everywhere. But later he found out that he needed lithium-ion batteries. Again, he was from a village. Keep here village, here lithium-ion battery. They're totally far apart because there's high advanced technology and very low income family trying to access that technology. Still, he wanted to find out. He got to university. he took electrical engineering. The goal was to solve the electricity problem at home. But because it was low-income community, they were buying second-hand laptops. So still, they were getting second-hand laptops with second-hand batteries. So after 3 months, all laptops were converted to desktops. Because every time the battery was dead, so they needed to be connected to the socket to get electricity. Those who had money could take off the battery and replace, then trash that old battery in the normal trash bins. Then he went and said, okay, this is a battery. He started picking batteries, breaking apart, trying to do his research in the lab to see what he could do with those batteries. You know what he found out? He found out that the lithium-ion batteries he had been looking for in the past are found in the old laptop batteries. Then some people challenged him, why don't you buy new lithium-ion batteries to just make the power banks and the lights for your village? He went to Alibaba and eBay, and he was searching how could he get the new batteries. He found out that he could get, but at an expensive price, because shipping the batteries are hazardous goods. So still, he could get a reliable solution, but not affordable for his community. So he said no. He researched and found out that lastly, he could repurpose laptop batteries and create battery packs to power those rural communities and make the battery banks. One question, do we think he was born with all those skills to help him create that solution? Yes or no? It was through his resilience, persistence, and constantly hard working towards creating a solution that he wanted. And do we know who is that? It's me, Gibson Kawago. So, I am the founder of Waga, a company where we repurpose laptop batteries to create lithium-ion battery packs to power rural communities. Now the people in Tanzania can charge mobile phones, can light up their homes, all powered with solar panels, everything made from recycled batteries. What do we learn from this? Thank you. What do we learn from this? As young people are the future, as now we are transitioning to green solutions and clean technologies, we are now moving to electric vehicles. I was very happy yesterday when I arrived. I saw there were so many electric motorcycles. And I said, wow, now when we are transitioning to green solutions, now practically in Rwanda, it is here. Then I asked myself, what does it require for a young person to be able to access decent jobs while this transition to green solution is being applied? Number one, I found out that there are so many resources that are available online right now for free. There's advancement of artificial intelligence. And I'm always sad when most young people sit and or stand and say, AI is going to take over the jobs. You know why? It's because we should change the way we think. We should, because you can't resist technology from forging ahead. Like in the past, there were no electric cars. When Elon Musk came and said, I'm going to put electric cars, everyone said they will be stuck on the road, empty charging. But now, practically, they are here. So even when AI is coming, let's not say no to AI. But as young people, we should sit down and see how can we leverage the power of AI to utilize it, to shape and give us more skills so that we can perform our jobs better. But the best part is, the more you go around, is the more you find out. And it's very important to utilize someone's experience than you doing the same mistake that someone already did. And there is where the concept of mentorship comes. As young people, we need to seek mentorship from the people who are experienced in different fields so that we can get better and they can guide us towards getting there. And by doing this, that 3.5 times possibility of not being employed will be 0 times. So we'll solve everything. And lastly, young people are the future, but inside the future, we have girls in STEM. The evolution in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is important. You know, you can't train an old dog new skills. We need to train from the grassroots. So it's important to invest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects for young girls so that even later, because in Africa, women are the ones who keep up the family, who raise the children. Most children learn things from their mothers. So it's important if we equip them with skills on STEM, it will build a generation where in the future we will have an educated generation, a generation that can create decent jobs for everyone, but also we can utilize the technology that is evolving. I always love one song by Kainan, and I think almost every one of us have heard of it, or you will hear it now. Do you allow me to sing? Yes. So that song goes, when I get older, I will be stronger. They call me freedom, just like a waving flag. Let's go! When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. And then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes back. Oh! So, as young people, when we grow older, we need to be like waving flags. Thank you so much.
Another big round of applause. I don't know if I was the only one who was enjoying the lyrics, and I'm like, okay, I was an athlete before I retired, so that's a song that's very dear to my heart, and thank you for bringing it up, and thanks for that powerful message and that powerful story. And again, it brought us back. I couldn't help but keep on remembering the keywords we're talking about scaling, about it, from the entire story that he has shared. So thank you very much for sharing that journey and inspiring us to keep moving. One element that I believe that you raised that I kind of took away as an element of consideration is more of understanding that youth is actually not a homogeneous group. You know, not treating youth as a homogeneous group. There's a lot of intersectionality that affects the effects that we see in terms of different interventions that are addressed to different groups of youth. We have female youth, we have youth with disability, rural versus urban, and thanks for raising that up. As we continue the conversations in the next 2 days, it's good to keep this in mind so that we can make sure that at the end of the 2 days, we have fruitful and meaningful engagement and actions that are directed to the respective youth. Now, we'll go straight to our next item on the agenda. And before we do that, I would really like to also inform us that we have an online platform where we can also, you know, we're talking about digital. We're going to leave the digital part. In addition to us mingling physically, there's an online platform, so we would request you to log in onto that platform and also fill in your details, and you'll feel free. It's a platform that allows you to search. If you're looking for Mary and you want to say hi, maybe we can do that digitally as well as physically. So that's how good this is. So the platform, you can find anybody, you can find any speaker on there in a way that you're able to continue the conversation. Also, another announcement is that, of course, I'm seeing many of us have already seen this. We have translation devices. So for anybody who would like a translation devices, it's English to French and French to English. You can, there's a table at the back near the booth where you can get the device, and make sure that the session is as inclusive for you as possible. All right, we'll dive straight to our next agenda item. Thank you very much, folks, for the setup. We are going to go into a panel discussion, to kind of reflect a little bit more about advancing youth employment in the digital economy. We're going to hear from different market actors in this space. And to moderate this session, allow me to welcome Ms. Aisha Moitra, from Youth Employment Officer at the Decent Jobs for Youth Secretariat at ILO. Aisha, over to you. A round of applause for Aisha, who's going to take us through this session.
Okay, so we have everything set here. Good morning, everyone. And it's a great pleasure to have you here at the Global Conference of Decent Jobs for Youth. I'm Isha, and I will be moderating this session on looking into the opportunities in the digital economy for young people. So can I please invite our panelists for this session on the floor, please? So panelists, if you could please come on. As you come on, I will introduce you once you've taken the floor. Okay, so I think we're all set for our session. So let me begin by giving you a little bit of context as to what we will be discussing today on this first plenary on the potential of the digital economy to create and boost decent jobs for young people. So as I think you all will agree, the digital transformation and the rapid uptake of digital technologies, particularly as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, has transformed every aspect of our life and work. Digitalization has the potential to be a great equalizer. For instance, it allows the inclusion of historically marginalized and underserved groups of young people, such as young refugees and youth with disabilities, offering them the opportunity to access employment as well as online learning opportunities. It can create new jobs, boost innovation and productivity, and offer great flexibility for workers. However, in the absence of appropriate policy measures and action, digitalization can further exacerbate existing inequalities. Concerns over job quality and precarious working conditions persist. In many low and middle income countries, access to affordable internet as well as digital infrastructure still remains an issue. Moreover, young people often lack the skills and the capacities needed to thrive in the digital economy. So against this backdrop, our panel today will discuss effective strategies and solutions that can make a tangible impact on promoting decent jobs for young people in the digital economy. We will explore how to capitalize on the opportunities of the digital economy and overcome the challenges and the barriers to create a more youth-inclusive world of work. So with that, I would now like to introduce our panelists that we have here. And we're very happy to see the diversification in terms of geographical representation as well. We have panelists from China, from Uganda, Malaysia, Netherlands, and our regional deputy regional director for Africa. So let me now introduce our panelists. So today we are joined by Mr. Kofi Agasu, the deputy regional director for Africa at the International Labour Organization. A round of applause. Mr. Jurjen Middelhoff, the ambassador for youth, education and work at the government of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Ms. Noor Fatiha Binti Ayub Khan, the head of the project management unit for special groups at the Malaysian Social Security Organization. Ms. Shanita Birungi, a youth representative at the National Organization of Trade Unions, Uganda. And Mr. Shuatong Zhang, representing the China Enterprise Confederation. So without further ado, let us begin the conversation today and deep dive into the digital economy for young people. So as we dive into the opportunities, for job creation in the digital economy, let us start by recognizing the crucial role that employers play in this regard, particularly the private sector. So currently, the ILO estimates show that we have a jobs gap of 435 million, which means that is the number of people who want to have jobs and are currently unable to have the jobs. So with this in mind, Zhuatong, can you tell us how does the China Enterprise Confederation support businesses in your country to adopt digital innovation in a way that can create jobs for young people? And could you share some examples with us in this regard?
Okay, thank you, Isha, for your question. And first, I need to say it's a great honor to be here to share our experience here. In China, we attach great importance to the development of the digital economy. And over the past decade, the share of China's digital economy in the gross domestic product has grown rapidly from 25.1% in 2014 to about 44% in 2023, with the overall size ranking the second in the world for many consecutive years. And the rapid development of China's digital economy has injected new vigor into the job market, which also brings the youth with more opportunities. And in this process, the China Enterprise Confederation is actively playing our due role to better support the digital transformation of the enterprise. We have taken a series of concrete initiatives. Since 2019, we have published the China Intelligent Enterprise Development Report for 5 consecutive years. And we also provided the enterprises with clear transformation paths and the practical references by publishing the professional reports and formulating relevant standards and undertaking the research report for the relevant government departments. And also we we build an open learning and communication platform for the enterprises by operating our public account. So this helping the enterprises to know the latest theoretical research and also the practical achievements of the transformation, the digital transformation. And in guaranteeing the decent job for youth, we recognize that the demand for the vocational skills in the digital era is quite different from that in the traditional era. So we actively promote the enterprises to carry out digitalized vocational skill training and upgrading courses to improve the employment competitiveness of the youth. For example, through the cooperation with the Regional Enterprises Confederation, we have actively guided the enterprises to introduce modern apprenticeship and other innovative training modes so that young people can learn and grow through the practical operation and thus better adapt to the labor market demand. And at the same time, we're also aware of the rapid rise of the online platform economy, which brings many new employment opportunities with a large proportion of the practitioners in this sector being other young people. And also a change in there is also a change in the pattern of the employment. So we have highly concerned about this new employment pattern, and is committed to safeguarding the labor rights of the youth. We have conducted a series of studies and work with the government and the trade unions to promote the enterprises to emphasize the importance of the social security of the youth, so as to ensure that they can also obtain lawful protection of their rights and interests under the new employment pattern. And in the future, we want to still continue to play our role, strengthen cooperation and exchange with global parties, and jointly contribute to the future in the for youth in the digital economy. Thank you.
A round of applause, colleagues. Thank you, Xuatong, for sharing those insights with us. I think you touched upon very key elements such as offering apprenticeships to young people to ensure that they get work-based training. You highlighted enterprise support to boost job creation. And you also highlighted the role of partnerships and how you work together with trade unions as well as governments and other organizations. So I think that's a great segue to our young trade union representative here, Shanita. And so I think now that we've heard from Xuatong a little bit of the employer's perspective, I'd like to hear from you, Shanita, on how you think digitalization affects young workers, and what are actions such as your organization, the National Organization of Trade Unions in Uganda, doing to protect youth and protect youth rights and safeguard their interests in light of this digitalization?
Thank you very much, Asha. Still, I'm by the names of Shanita Bironje. All protocols observed. As the trade union, this is the national center that organizes all workers. And basically, as we discuss, all we are negotiating, we do a tripartite social dialogue where we have the employers, employees, and the workers themselves. So, when you ask me the impression I have with the digitalization, when you look at the young workers, we've all agreed that unemployment, we have the biggest percentage. Young workers, we are affected. Now, as trade unions, what have we been doing? We've innovated, and we've now have a different sketch map. We've gone down to organize the informal workers, because this is the only way we have to talk for them, to fight for their rights, to know what their rights are. Because the young workers have engaged themselves in skills, things to do with digital, but they're being exploited. If you look at what my brother was just sharing, we've put up a lot of opportunities when you go to organizations, formal organization. They use these skills to upgrade their databases and everything, but we are not being paid as we should be paid. So we find ourselves in that situation because we are not signing MOUs. We are not signing contracts with these organizations. So as the trade unions, we are coming up to see how best we can fight for the rights of the young workers, to see how best they can be on the social. Then when you look at the concept, we are looking at a decent work. There are 4 pillars that we look at, which is extending the social protection, where things are just at the same equality, no discrimination. Then you also look at the social dialogue, which I already talked about in the tripartite way, where we have the employers, employees, and the workers. Then when you look at also promoting jobs, when you look at the National Center in Uganda, we've created up something called the Youth Camp. We organize it annually. And here we bring all the young workers in different sectors, both formal and informal. We share experiences. We also see how skilled we can help them. Where I come from, I am a taxi driver. Being a taxi driver, when I joined the union in the first place, I had no idea that I have to be paid this amount of money. I would go back home very late in the night. I would get sexually abused, and it was something I had adapted to being normal, not knowing I would have a right as a person or as a lady. Joining the union, it made me believe and know my rights as a young girl and as also a worker. Right now, we are looking into organizing now other youths in the trade union movement. What have we done? We've tried to organize them digital. not in only in the urban centers, but in the rural areas, because when you look at transport, it covers all sectors. So identifying the numbers of people who are engaging themselves in the transport sector, in the informal sector, talk about civil aviation, the formal workers. We've really tried so hard to see how we can get to these youths and see how they can understand their rights. But we can only do this if we organize them into the trade unions. I'm sorry if I'm taking a lot of time. Just like as Sister Carol said, she's a trade unionist. We are paid to speak. If I start speaking on the rights of workers and youth, it can take me a whole day. But what can I say now? The main important thing here we can do to help the young workers is join the trade union movement, join the unions, because I'm very sure it's now a global thing that we have to organize all workers, regardless of formal, informal, because really, if we have to say this, most of the young workers are informal, and there is no way we can help or let them know if they are not organized and recruited into the trade union movement. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanita. Can we have a round of applause for Shanita? Let me take a moment to just recognize the diversity of youth that we have here. Shanita, you mentioned that you're a taxi driver and working with, involved with the trade union in Uganda. You touched upon very key aspects about young people's rights. You talked about social protection. You talked about social dialogue. That is very much, you know, a key core element of the work that we do at the ILO. And I would just like to follow up on some of the points that you made, and I'd request you to keep maybe your intervention brief. And I'm curious to know from your perspective, what do you think, you know, how do you evaluate the impact of digitalization on workers? And what do you think needs to be done in terms of skilling them, reskilling them, upskilling them to prepare them for the digital transformation? So maybe if you could share a few words on your impression.
All right, I think it's a good thing, but when you talk about skilling, as the trade union, we may not have the gadgets, but the biggest thing they can provide is the partnership with these big organizations. Most of them are not educated, but guess what? We have ITUC, I've heard of Plan International that has been there in Uganda also, that has been engaging the youth in how best they can involve themselves in learning how to go digital. If you look at also the aspect of, yesterday when you arrived, I saw something to do with the boda people, very organized and doing their things on digital. So back in the trade union, all the best we can do is just partner with the organization that can help the youth, target the youth, understand what they really want, and let them know that we are all going digital and we have to shift to the digital way. And the skills we have, we may not be able to give them the skills, but we can align them with the organizations and partners that can help them reskill and improve on what they are doing already.
Thank you very much, Anita. So a key point on understanding what the market needs are in terms of skilling. And of course, skilling can't happen in a void, but really is linked to what the needs are by employers, and it needs to be aligned with those interests. So now moving on, you know, we've been hearing about skills development, we spoke about job creation, but let's not forget another very key aspect of this equation, which is the role of public employment services. So moving to you, Fatiha, what role can public employment services play in anticipating the fast evolving needs of employers in the digital landscape and supporting young people transition to decent work?
Okay, thank you, Isha, for your questions. So actually, from Malaysian perspective, in terms of the role of public employment services, actually, we play a crucial role in bridging the gap between our young people and also the evolving demands in digital economy. So we have actually created some intervention and also programs for our youth with the collaboration of industries, institutions, and also agencies. So the first one is we did a research on skill forecasting and also analysis. So in terms of that, actually we have a employment information and analysis services department in which this our team will work closely in terms of projecting what is the emerging skills and technologies. So by having all of this real information, I mean like real data that is live. So this data we can use to actually propose the appropriate training program that we can do to our youth with the collaboration of training providers, governments, and also whichever agencies that are providing this initiative. And also we have the career guidance and counseling program for our young people in which we help them to create their career path. What actually digital economy means, what kind of role does digital brings to them. For example, like digital literacy, digital marketing, so all of these roles have different needs. So we will help them in terms of identifying what is the most suitable digital economy for them. And then we also have partnership and also collaboration with educational institutions. So in terms of that, I think we have to work together with the employers and also industries, because by having the information regarding what kind of job they are offering, their vacancies, so this information plays a significant role in deciding what kind of program or training that we need to equip our talents. So by having their participation, we can also promote internship program, apprenticeship program, and also mentorship program, so that these young people can gain some practical experience by having to work with these employers. And then we also have job matching and placement services in which by using My Future Job portal, and this portal is actually generated by AI, and they can actually generate their job matching based on their profiles. So it is also supported with our tools like Wage Guide, gap analysis, re-skills recommendation, and also job matching, another one. And then lastly, about the advocacy and also policy development, we think that is also important in order for us to create a decent job for our youth, because by having policy and support from the government and employers, I think we can create a more sustainable job for the youth, and especially in digital economy. And also, we find that there's kind of this trend that our youth people are more, they are no longer looking to work in formal sectors. So we also provide an entrepreneurship platform for them. So this one is also, we work closely with the agencies. And if, let's say, these individuals would like to pursue to be an entrepreneur, we provide training program, for example, like entrepreneurship, how to be a successful entrepreneurs, how to manage their finance, and how to register the companies. So we also provide those. And then I think in conclusion, overall, that the programs that we did, we are able to understand both sides, from the talent side and also the industrial side, because I think by bridging both of these parties is very important, and we are trying our best, and it's still in an ongoing process for us up until now. Thank you, that's all from me.
Thank you, Fatiha. Can we have a big round of applause for her? Thank you so much for sharing, and I think that was a long list of all the incredible work that PERCAS, or the Social Security Organization in Malaysia, is doing. And we kind of see the importance of this labor intermediation. I think a lot of the young people in the room will agree that career guidance and having that sort of support early on is crucial in understanding what are the jobs that are available, and how to find jobs and skill ourselves for the jobs that are out there. So thank you so much for sharing those AI-powered and very much relevant now, looking at how quickly we are sort of evolving to adopting artificial intelligence. I think some great work that you have shared. Thank you very much, Fatiha. You also mentioned the importance of policy, so I think that's a great segue now, moving on to the Netherlands, and seeing how how this can be translated into policy and action, and how governments can support this. So moving to you, Jurjen, I'd like to ask you, how is the government of the Kingdom of the Netherlands prioritizing young people's needs especially those most marginalized. I think we discussed earlier that young people are not a homogeneous group, so how are we prioritizing, how is the government of the Netherlands prioritizing the needs of those most marginalized to support their transition to decent work in the digital economy?
Yes, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be here. I see some familiar faces. My name is Juriaan, the Dutch ambassador for youth education and work. I am by no means a young person anymore. We looked at all the different definitions out there. Unfortunately, I do not qualify for it. But I am an ambassador for youth, and that is because to demonstrate the importance that the Netherlands is giving to young persons, to youth. Putting youth at the center of our foreign policy, our development cooperation is exactly what we do on the basis of what we call our Youth at Heart strategy. This strategy came about after consultation with more than 1,200 young people from all over the world, and they gave us their priorities. And this strategy consists of 3 pillars. The first focusing on economic opportunities for young persons, so indeed youth employment, but also young entrepreneurship. But that goes hand in hand with the second pillar, and that is decent education, education that's fit for the jobs that there will be in the future. So a lot of focus on skills, a lot of focus on TVET, for example. And the third pillar I'll come back to, that is about giving young people a voice in everything that we're doing, meaningful youth participation. Now, today you asked for the importance of digitalization, how we can include a marginalized group. For us, digitalization is essential for the ministry. That's why we have developed a strategy on digitalization. Digitalization is essential for creating the fundamental changes that are necessary in societies, but also keeping society up and running. Examples are digital government, and I think we've heard some great examples that can also be beneficial for us. And this is why we came up with a digital agenda. Now, some of the colleagues have already alluded to some of the big developments in technology. I'm not going to diverse into that, but what we also should be conscious of is that there are still big discrepancies in how technology is actually being used. And also, digital literacy differs extensively between, but also within countries and societies. And this creates a mismatch between supply and demand. It also creates a knowledge gap on how technology is used, and we need to acknowledge that. And finally, we also need to be constantly aware of the lack of and the discrepancies in access to technologies, connectivity. There is still such a vast group of people, of societies that are not as well connected as all of us are here. And we need to take that into consideration because the gap is only widening. Now, when we think of these and other marginalized populations, we need to take into account their background. For example, are they female? Are they refugees? One of the examples is our prospect partnerships together with ILO, but also World Bank and a few other UN organizations that we set up to assist people on the move in the Middle East and Eastern Africa, and to help them with their needs. And digitalization, but also a focus on youth, forms a strong focus of this great partnership. And what we've learned is that we need to think about the context in international policy. Formulating a policy on Africa by itself doesn't do justice to the diversity of the continent. It needs to be specific. We need to account for local differences. For example, the vast differences in preferred ways of digital communication. And to understand these local problems surrounding digitalization, it's my plea that we should focus on youth. Because, of course, first of all, 70 to 80% of Africa and the Middle East is youth. We all know that. But by including youth in our solutions, we better understand how technology is being used, but also what opportunities are out there. This will create adequate and inclusive, solid policy frameworks. It also helps bridge the knowledge gaps, which can inform adequate education. And we have identified youth as a lever for adequate digital transition. And we do that through, like I said in the beginning, meaningful youth participation. We're collaborating with youth on agenda setting, and we aim to overcome all the problems that I mentioned before by engaging young persons.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Jurjen. Can we have a big round of applause for him? I think you touched upon some, very vital issues that we haven't heard earlier on the panel. So I think it's good that we also speak about, while we, recognize that digital transition and digital transformation, it's, we need to harness it adequately and appropriately to ensure that we overcome the challenges such as the digital divide, the skills gap that exists. And thank you for sharing the examples from the government of the Netherlands on meaningfully engaging young people and promoting their transition to the digital economy. Maybe if I can ask for a quick follow-up, but a short response from your side. Given, the priorities that the Netherlands places on this agenda, what would your message be to other governments, for example? Why should they invest in young people and the transition to the digital economy? So how would you make that case so we have other partner governments that we can bring on board on this agenda?
Well, it was already said in the beginning, youth are the future, but they are not only the future, they are also the present. Investing in youth is a triple investment. It is indeed investing in future solutions, but it's also investing in creative solutions for the now. So all the complex problems that we are facing, we require out-of-the-box solutions to, make us meet the SDGs, for example, or any of the other challenges, and youth employment is one of them. So yes, by meaningfully involving young people, we end up with far more creative and hence more effective and impactful solutions for any organization.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Jurjen, for sharing those thoughts and insights with us. And now, as we move to our next panelist, Kofi, I would like to come to you now. So, we've had this conversation now, we've heard different perspectives on the topic, but could you tell us what we need to actually scale up the action in terms of promoting decent jobs for young people in the digital economy? And how is the ILO leading the way in this agenda?
Okay, thank you very much, moderator. My name is Kofi Agosu. I'm the Deputy Regional Director for ILO Africa. I'm pleased to be with you today. So to provide answer to this question, I will go through 3 points. The first point is that we can ask ourselves the work or the employment, the decent job that we want, where are they going to come from? What are the sectors? What are the occupations which we need to develop more? Basically, you must know that the digital transformation impact all the sectors beyond the ICT. I mean the information communication technology. That includes the agriculture sector, transport, tourism, construction, trade, and also it concerns the informal and the formal sector in Africa. As you know, the informal economy is very high. To know that, ILO, fortunately, has developed the digital employment assessment. And this assessment, this study, provides us a guidance on which sectors and which occupations are needed. And we understood from that we need not only the high-level occupations, but also the intermediates. And these intermediate occupations are more needed than the highest one. The second thing that we can ask ourselves is that which approach should we adopt? And the answer to this one is to adopt an inclusive approach. What does it mean? It means that first, we must prioritize policy that allow us to invest in digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure to help us, to help young people to get access safely, reliable, and also affordable to internet in rural area and also in urban areas. And this one, to do this one, we have also, of course, to skills our young people. As my predecessor said, the skilling of young people is very, very important in order to get access to this decent job. And the third one in this area, and as an integrated approach, of course, it is to support business, to have a technology which can help them to increase their growth and also to get access to a new market. Actually, it is the e-commerce which is that. So in this area, ILO also is working on that, is leading many initiatives. One of the initiative is the project, the joint projects, ILO, African Union, and the ITU. ITU, it is International Telecommunication Union. So this project is a joint program on boosting decent jobs for youth in Africa's digital economy. And within these projects, in the next 3 years, we plan to invest more than $14 million. And the good news was that at the beginning of this month, we launched a project here in Rwanda to facilitate access of young people to digitalization. And again, as it is an opportunity to thank Netherlands for funding prospect projects, of which he said that's where we are developing also the community of practice in terms of digitalization. The third one, remember I said 3 points. The third one is about managing the risk. You know that transformation, digital transformation, involve many risks. The risk related to the cyber criminality, for example, the risk also of violating the young rights. Okay, so this one, to mitigate that, we have to be careful and to provide first social protection. I think my predecessors also told about this one. So social protection will be, as we said, a pillar to protect young people during the transition, because talking about digital transformation, it is involved also transition. So for this transition, we need social protection. And the second one also, as I said, we need to protect the human rights. Okay, protection of human rights. ILO is working on that, and the good news is that first, ILO and the African Union, they develop what they call Youth Employment Strategy for Africa, ISA, and this strategy is human-centered based, so we take into consideration this one. And the second good news is that ILO constituents decided to discuss clearly about how can we protect the workers and of course also the employers in the digital, in the platform economy. And this discussion is now ongoing. So ILO is thinking, and his constituents is thinking to how we can provide more guidance through international labor standards to protect workers in this area. And the discussion will be led during the International Labour Conference in 2025 and also in 2026. And from that point, we will, I think we will have a clear guidance on how we can protect labor rights, including cyber security and so on. So that's a few things that I want to share with you with regard to this question, what we need and what ILO is leading in terms of project and in terms of discussion. Over to you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Kofi. Can we have a round of applause? I won't go through all of the excellent examples you shared, Kofi, but I think two maybe key points that I can highlight is, the importance of an integrated and a comprehensive approach, and in terms of promoting young people's transition to the digital economy. I think we recognize that there needs to be a very comprehensive and holistic approach to this, which you highlighted through the different interventions the ILO is a part of. And I think what we haven't spoken yet is about digital risk. So we know that, online there are always occasions of sort of privacy issues, rights issues. So the fact that you highlighted a little bit about the digital risk associated with young people working online, I think is key. And of course, I think you highlighted that we have a very important discussion at the ILO next year on what is going to be the status, or what can be the discussion on young people, or people actually working in the platform economy. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. And now I actually have a quick round of questions for all our panelists. Today we kick off this 2-day conference. And as we sort of move into the conference, I think I would like to ask our panelists to give us some action-oriented, inspiring advice from your side on how you think, what is your key message to the Decent Jobs for Youth partners to amplify efforts to ensure that all young people everywhere have access to decent jobs in the digital economy. So what is your recommendation to make this ambition that brings us all together here to promote decent jobs for young people in the digital economy, a reality? So maybe in a quick 1-minute message, we can start from you, Xuatong.
So what I like to highlight that is the better global cooperation is the key to ensuring the decent job for youth in the